Here's the story, built exactly to your outline, with tight pacing, calculated vengeance, and a full build, revelation, revenge payoff arc. My wife's parents made me sign a terrible prenup. Then they went bankrupt and she cheated on me, so their own greed destroyed her. The day she pulled me, her eyes were cold, no tears, no guilt, just a shrug. "It's not working anymore, Daniel. I think we should go our separate ways." She didn't know I already knew about him, the man she thought she was hiding from me. She didn't know that the separate ways she was so casually suggesting would lead her straight into a trap of her parents' making. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask why. I just looked at her for a long second, gave a small nod, and said, "All right." That was the first move, the silence. When I met Emily 6 years ago, she was the kind of woman who lit up every room, and knew it. I was ambitious, but not from her world. She came from money, old and loud about it. Her father made his fortune in real estate. Her mother collected charity galas like trophies. They liked me well enough, until things got serious. That's when they had their lawyer suggest a prenup. Not a fair one, a lopsided, predatory piece of paper that made it clear, if we divorced, I'd walk away with nothing. No house, no savings, not even my own investments if they were tied to hers. Standard procedure, her father said, smirking as I signed. Emily said she'd never need it anyway. She loved me. 2 years ago, her parents' empire cracked. A bad investment, lawsuits, creditors circling like sharks. I watched their empire collapse from the sidelines while keeping my distance. But I noticed something else. Emily started changing. Nights out she wouldn't explain. A phone she guarded like it was state property. And a coldness in her voice when she spoke to me, like she was already rehearsing life without me. The proof came in the form of a hotel bill. Wrong name on the reservation, but her credit card. The date matched one of her girls' nights. I remember sitting there with that bill in my hand. No shaking, no yelling, just stillness. That was the night I stopped being her husband in my head. I became something else, quiet, patient, methodical. The prenup she and her parents had shoved down my throat was ironclad, for me. But her parents had been smart in only one direction. They'd forgotten to protect her if their fortunes ever tanked. Clause 14. In the event of bankruptcy or significant financial loss by either party's family, all jointly held assets revert to the other spouse in full. At the time, it was meant to protect her. Ironically, her father had insisted on that line to shield her from my potential failures. But their bankruptcy triggered it. Everything, our house, investments, accounts, slid neatly into my name. I didn't have to fight for it. The law did the work. I stayed quiet. While she was slipping off to hotels, I was meeting with accountants, moving assets, selling properties under her nose, locking her out of accounts she didn't even know existed. And then, when every last thread of our shared life was tied in my fist, I let her speak those words. "I think we should go our separate ways." The day she walked out, she thought she was walking into freedom. She moved into his apartment, took a suitcase of clothes and the confidence of someone who thinks they've won. 2 weeks later, the papers arrived at her new address. Divorce proceedings, clean, efficient, and devastating. No assets in her name, no house, no investments. Her voice messages started 2 days after that. The first was angry. "You can't just take everything, Daniel. That's not how this works." The second was shaky. I didn't realize the prenup said that. My lawyer, he's saying I might have signed without." The third was just crying. I didn't respond to any of them. The confrontation came in the form of a mediation meeting her lawyer insisted on. She walked in pale, thinner, the arrogance stripped from her posture. "You planned this," she said quietly, across the table. "I just followed the rules your father said," I replied. "The ones you made me sign." Her hands trembled. I watched her search for anger, for a weapon. She found none. When the mediator confirmed the final settlement, her getting nothing but the clothes she'd left with, She stared at the table like she'd been hollowed out. I walked out of that room lighter than I'd felt in years. Her parents had wanted to protect her from me. They'd made sure I had no way out but their way. And in doing so, they'd given me the perfect weapon. They built the cage. I just closed the door. And as far as her tears 2,000 miles away, well, she can cry into as many voice notes as she wants. I stopped listening the day she thought I wouldn't read a hotel bill.